Now we would like to bring in Professor Joe Sweeterman. He's a transportation expert from DePaul University. Right now, there are some aviation hearings going on, and he's going to give us a little bit more perspective on that. Thanks so much for your time.
Great to be here. Thank you.
First, give us a little bit of your background in aviation.
Oh, yeah, much of my life. I spent about 8 years at United Airlines earlier in my career. Now, a professor at DePaul, I edit an aviation journal. It's really a busy time for air travel, and it's fun to watch.
Again, thanks so much for your time this afternoon, and we're here to talk about some of these aviation hearings. Why, in your opinion, would you say that they are significant, and what would you say is at stake for both the public and the aviation industry?
Well, this accident in Washington is really going to be center stage at Reagan Airport, and we got into a law thinking that we had air traffic at busy airports under control. And then last year, there's a whole spate of accidents. We had an accident out west in the Pacific Northwest. Canada had a bad accident as well. And we realized that a lot of our systems are antiquated with drones, with military aircraft, and so forth. And the Reagan accident, which a regional jet, crashed into the Black Hawk helicopter, just shocked us all. And that's really started this whole discussion.
So as far as these hearings, what do we expect to be some of the outcomes? Do we think that there are going to be some changes in terms of, are those military, airplanes and helicopters allowed to fly and share airspace with commercial airlines? What are we expecting to come out of this?
Oh, that's exactly right. I mean, we had multiple errors at Reagan Airport, but the military was given special exemptions to operate around busy airports because of, I think, the level of trust in the Pentagon, the advanced equipment they have. And a major mistake was made that Black Hawk was flying way too high, and the policy was way too generous to start out with, that allowing helicopters to be anywhere near a busy airport like this. It just was a bad idea. So that's been changed. But in the process, there's been a lot more discussion about general aviation, these smaller airplanes flying from airports. We have Chicago Executive Airport, DuPage County, and others, all kind of near O'Hare. And so, our tolerance for airline accidents is so low that we just aren't willing to take any kind of risks that we may have been willing to take 20 years ago for good reason. And boy, it was a wake-up call in Washington.
It really was a wake-up call, a sad day indeed. In your viewpoint, do you think that these hearings that are taking place now are more about accountability for what's happened in the past, or more so shaping the future of aviation?
Well, with Congress, there's always an element of theater where there's going to be some profound quotes that, that end up on the news. But I do think Washington, these politicians, elected officials, fly to D.C. back and forth every week, and they just know how crowded that Reagan Airport is. And of course, 9/11, some of those, the crises for that involved flights near Reagan Airport, the Pentagon. So Washington's had more than its share of problems. Now we're in a good spot here in Chicago with the O'Hare modernization program. We really unclogged those O'Hare runways. So we have parallel runways and so forth. But technology, boys, just in the last year, the rising number of use of drones and aerial spacecraft that are going to start using commercial service in the sky soon, little small vertical airplanes, that's going to be a game changer.
What would you say, if any, what do you think the outcomes could be for maybe the ticket prices and maybe changes to routes or overall operations based on what's decided in Washington?
Yeah, well, the good news is we do know these regional jets, which are less safe than big airplanes for lots of reasons. The avionics on board, just their susceptibility to bad weather, those are being grounded now. We're seeing that at O'Hare, with United in particular is operating fewer of these smaller planes and going to the bigger planes, the 737s, the A320s, and so forth. And that means fewer flights because you have more people on every flight. And, of course, less runway and airport congestion. And that also can bring down fares. So if you've been following the news, O'Hare is just on a great streak that we're back above pre-pandemic travel volumes, and both American and United are growing with bigger planes, which helps everybody.
With a hearing like this, and from you speaking to, I guess, others within the transportation, systems and things of that nature, what do you think these hearings could do to maybe improve public trust when they do get into a plane that they're going to get there safely?
Oh, exactly right. And airlines are held in pretty low esteem by the public, partly because the problems we saw from 21 to 23, where we had mass cancellations and airport waits, and rebooking flights became a royal hassle because the chat features weren't working. So the public really wants to be reassured that airlines are kind of civil to its customers and also safe. And the airlines have got the memo. It's been really good to see. They have more spare airplanes there. They have revamped the way they engage with consumers. They don't bump passengers as much, and that's really helped. And airfares have come down. Lately, they're up a little bit in the last few months, but we're seeing a nice rebound in public trust. But last year, these accidents really had people scratching their heads, and the FAA wants to make sure this isn't something fundamental about all the congestion that puts us in harm's way.
Now, Professor Sweeterman, I may be putting you on the spot here a little bit with this next question. We're obviously seeing a lot of advances here in AI, and we're kind of at a shortage of having air traffic controllers. Do you think that AI and the future use of technology could possibly be an answer to fill in some of those gaps that we're seeing?
I do think that. You look at the job of a pilot, and in addition to following a checklist and doing things by protocol, which we know is going to continue, there's so many intangibles that work together. And you think about climate events and aviation protocol changes, say when Air Force One is in the air and so forth. There's so much happening in the mind of a pilot, a captain in particular, that anything we can do to simplify that can really allow for better decision making. And so you see when things get stressful in the cockpit, bad decisions can be made. And that's where airlines are looking to AI. If we can summarize the issues in 3 paragraphs rather than having you read 5 different reports, you're just a better pilot because your mind's not being pulled in so many different places. Airlines are excited about that. And air traffic control can use that too because, let's face it, it's a burnout profession and we're really low on controllers right now.
Professor Joe Sweeterman from DePaul University, our transportation expert. Thanks so much for your words and your insight on the aviation hearings currently taking place in our nation's capital. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.